My name is Engineer Michael Ngala, Assistant Director in charge of Accident Control at the Kenya National Highways Authority. We have a visiting delegation from Rwanda, and they are benchmarking with us on matters accident control, so that they can also go and implement the same we are doing in Kenya, because we are operating under the East African Community Vehicle Road Control Act, of which Rwanda is a partner state. So they are affected by, they are operating under the same legal framework in terms of that aspect of weighbridge operations. So I would say that we have various stations. One of them is here at Juja, where we check compliance with the axle load limits with regard to the framework set out in the EAC Act, but we also have the same happening all over our country, in other stations, Gilgil, Webuye, Rongo, and all that. So I would wish to also have an opportunity to introduce to you the head of delegation through the head of delegation of Rwanda. He can also say hello to us. Welcome.
Thank you. My name is Frank Gihoza, Program Manager at Rwanda Transport Development Agency. What I can say is that there are things that cannot be learned on internet or in books. So there are things that need physical presence. There are things that need to be seen, So this is what we did. We conduct a number of visits to different way bridges, being static, way in motions, and actually we learn a lot. So now the ball is on our side. We have this assignment of implementing some of these infrastructure in our country. I think all of us, we know the importance of a way bridge. Actually, it helps having good roads lasting long period. Every road is designed according to a specific load, so it should not be exceeded. So if it is exceeded, the lifespan of the road gets reduced. So we should avoid this. A road is a very important infrastructure. We have to maintain it properly, and of course with the help of a way bridge. That's why actually we came. We would like to thank the team from Kenya, Kenya National Police, and all the managing contractors. They were really very helpful, and we really appreciate their support. So I think this is what I can say. Thank you.
Thank you. We also do this in collaboration with the Transporters Association and also the National Police Service. We have the OC Aleu, the officer in charge of the Axle Enforcement and Highway Unit, seconded to Kenha, which has got over 280 police officers to help us with the enforcement of the axle load in the country. You see?
So thank you very much. My name is John Gishohi, a Senior Superintendent of Police. As Engineer has said, I'm the officer in charge or officer commanding Axle Road Enforcement as the Highways Unit. It is a unit of about 280 police officers who are attached to Kenya National Highways Authority on matters enforcement. Basically, we are here today accompanying the engineers from the authority on this benchmarking tour for a delegation from Rwanda, and we have taken through them what is expected in as far as enforcement is concerned. So we are happy that they are eager to learn, and we are doing some comparisons of what is available at Rwanda and what is here in Kenya. One thing I would like to mention is that Axle Road is a calling. Axle Road enforcement is a calling. And I want to stress to them that as they start this journey, it is not a journey for the faint-hearted. They should do it knowing that they are protecting a very important asset in their country. So thank you very much.
How has it been effective on your side to implement those, maybe to have some of the lorries which are holding?
Basically what we've been doing with the strength that we have, and with officers distributed amongst various way bridges, and then having mobile weighbridge operations, we've been able to rein on the short distance or the local transporters who are majorly not using the regional trunk road network. And we have been very strict on enforcement. When a transporter has been detained having been overloaded, we normally take them to court, and the fines, and we follow up through the court process to ensure that the due process has been undertaken. Just to mention something is that, like for instance here at Juja Weighbridge, there are some transporters who have a notion that we only direct those vehicles that are 3.5 tons tear weight. It is not tear weight. I want to correct that. The law requires the gross vehicle weight of 3,500 kilograms of vehicles requires to be directed for weighing at the weighbridge.
We have got some rogue transporters who have been harassing management companies on the weighbridges, and the police have been watching. What do you have to say about that?
Basically, we've been accompanying the management contractor staff when we are conducting the mobile operations in order to rein on the rogue transporters. What we've been able to do, we are conducting lockdowns on the most notorious routes, so that we can get them and charge them in court in accordance with the law.
Maybe engineer, what is lift axle and how is it destroying roads in Kenya?
Basically, the liftable axle, mostly you find them in the trailers, the long trailers. You find a trailer which has got an axle which is able to be lifted. The legal requirement is that once a vehicle is loaded with cargo, the liftable axle is supposed to automatically touch down. But somehow they interfere with the switches, and you find that the drivers are able to lift them. There's something called the dead man switch. The driver is able to press and then it lifts. That should not happen in the case of a vehicle which is loaded and it is in motion. And therefore we are engaging with the transporters. We are telling them to either make sure that those liftable axles are functioning as anticipated by law, or they remove them altogether, so that we don't have the effect of the liftable axle causing overloads on the road. I'll give an example of a 6-axle truck. If one is a liftable axle, then it means that the moment it's up, the load which is to be carried by the 6 axles is now being borne by 5 axles. That is a source of overloading on our highways, and we discourage it at all times. And that's why you see us partnering with the transporters associations, so that they can actually sensitize their members not to engage the liftable axle while the vehicle is in motion. It should actually automatically touch down.
What is the status of compliance to axle load as of today?
As of today, basically along the northern corridor where we have 4 way bridges, each one in succession of the other, the compliance is about 98%. So barely about 2% of those that are found to be overloading, so which is a higher threshold in terms of compliance. But basically those trucks which ply routes outside the northern corridor, the compliance rate is somewhere around 70%. And we are actually putting more efforts to ensure that everybody who is in the transport fraternity understands that they have a responsibility to comply with the stipulated legal limits, and that is why we engage their organizations, but also we enforce at the same time. So our approach is to engage but also enforce.
There is the East African axle load legislation and also the Kenyan Traffic Act. How are you harmonizing the two to ensure the protection of roads in Kenya?
The EAC Act is actually prevalent on regional trunk road networks, which are specified in the Schedule 1 of the EAC Act. So the roads where EAC Act is applicable is very much distinct. Other than those trunk roads on the EAC Act, the rest fall under the National Trunk Road Network, which is under the Traffic Act. So we implement both sets of acts regarding or depending on where we impound the truck. If we impound you on a road which is outside the EAC Trunk Road Network, then we'll actually charge you under the Traffic Act.
So the judiciary, of course, must operate within a certain law. What have you done to ensure that the judiciary knows which law to apply and when?
Yes, that is a good inquiry. We have sensitized the judicial officers variously in the various courts and in the various forums, and this is a continuous exercise which we undertake to ensure that the judiciary gets the same message. We inform the judiciary and we highlight and enlighten them on the roads where the EAC Act applies and its provisions, and also roads where the Traffic Act applies in its provisions, so that they're able to support us in terms of the enforcement of the law.
So how often do you engage the judiciary within a calendar year or within a financial year?
Basically a number of times, like we've just had an engagement last September. This month we have an engagement with one of the courts. Next month we have another engagement with one of the courts. So it's a continuous engagement and exercise.
Maybe we can hear from the Transport Association.
Yes.
Please introduce yourself and what your members are and what they do.
My name is Kennedy Karisa and I'm the Secretary General of Truckers Association of Kenya. We are an umbrella body of over 130 truck transporting circles countrywide. We have over 17,000 members who own over 20,000 trucks, and our organization basically is for advocacy, and we partner with government agencies to ease the cost of transport, to reduce the cost of transport and the cost of doing business, removing all the setbacks and having our transporters move seamlessly through the road network around the country and in a legal way. So basically that is what we do as Truckers Association of Kenya.
There have been concerns that your members are robbed and they are harassing the police and the managers. How do you deal with that?
We have a very strong code of conduct for our members. If our member is found to be harassing the weighbridge staff or any official, not only the weighbridge staff, any government official, we have a reporting mechanism where we get to, I think punishment would be the best word, or we have very punitive measures that we take against our members, including banning them from our association, because it doesn't augur well for our image.
How many members do you have?
17,000 members with over 20,000 trucks.
Okay, thank you. My name is George Ngugi, the operations manager in charge of Ebenezer Commercial Works. Our main responsibility is to enforce the regulations under the Traffic Act and under the EAC Act on behalf of the client, who is Kenha. Currently, we are managing Juja, Mlolongo and Isinya weighbridge under the Athi River cluster, with the support of 3 mobile weighbridges that covers a network of 2,853 kilometers. So our main responsibility is to establish if there is any violation of those kind of regulations or rules, together with the police officers. Yes.
What challenges do you face?
We've got a variety of challenges, but one of the biggest challenges we are facing is vehicles that are moving without number plates on our roads. Some of them go to the extent of removing the insurance stickers, the issues of the NTSA stickers. Some of them are even removing those plates, chassis plates. So that vehicle becomes practically impossible to be identified when it is detected to have an overload. So we go at an extent of using the police officers to
also Isinya, and with a network of 2,853 kilometers to monitor under that network. That's the second cluster. The third cluster is Gilgil and Suswa. We tie them together under the management of one operator, and this is also monitoring 1,305 kilometers around that cluster. Then we have Webuye, which is towards the exit point at Malaba, and that weighbridge is monitoring 1,577 kilometers. Then we have the Busia and the Rongo clusters, which monitor 1,579 kilometers. So across the country and mostly along the northern corridor, we have clusters which monitor the network for static weighbridges. This has been said is complemented by the virtual stations, which we have 23 of them scattered around the country, and that is also relaying real-time information on overloading trends. So we are able to see which part is being abused so that we can also inform our mobile teams, both at the cluster level and also at our regional offices level, to be able to stem in and rein in on those people who are overloading. So we have a countrywide coverage that I would say is able to cover and manage the issue of overloading on our highways, so that we can have our highways lasting a longer period with reduced maintenance costs. We think that would be able to save resources for the country. So other than the static stations, we have mentioned virtual stations, we have mobile stations, and of course we have the WIMS at the various stations to help filtering traffic so that we don't have an accumulation of traffic and queuing at the way bridges. So eventually, finally, this adds to the fact of removing the non-tariff barriers to enable people to transit the way bridges in the shortest time possible. And we are using accurate equipment to weigh. The multi-deck gates are fairly fast and also very easy to operate. And coupled by the HS-WIM system, that's Green Motion System, we don't have an accumulation of way bridges, of delays of trucks at the way bridge. So there's faster mobility to exit our partners, our state.
These clusters, which one is the one which is most prone to overloading and accident or abuse?
We see that Athi River cluster is more or less abused because we have the source of building construction materials coming to Nairobi. Nairobi is an expanding place, so most of the building materials come from the nearby areas. So there's actually a trend to try to overload vehicles, especially those carrying the loose construction materials. And that also we have managed because we realize it's a challenge. And that's where you have the close partnership of the truckers helping to help have the information resident with the transporters that yes, we don't need to overload our highways, we need them for our today and also for tomorrow.
Do you have some data on the cost of the non-compliance?
As I said, on the northern corridor,
in terms of monitoring, the amount of money that the government spends on maintenance of roads as a result of destruction of roads by road transporters.
Basically, through the RMLF, the Road Maintenance Levy Fund, Kenya receives about 22 billion to do the maintenance of the roads, and that's also the money which also comes in to do the way bridge management. It costs the country about 3 billion Kenya shillings to manage on an annual basis only the Kenya network. But you see now, we also transcend to other public roads. That means a lot more resources is needed to do way bridge management to curb the incident of overloading on other networks. So it's actually a huge price for the country to pay if the overloading issue is not addressed. And we are appealing to each and every Kenyan to take patriotic steps to help in overloading so that we save our roads for our own good. Okay. Okay.
Now, the road network in Rwanda. How long are your paved roads in terms of kilometers? Do you have the data?
Actually, paved roads are more or less 1,500 kilometers. And actually we are having 4 road classification. We are having national roads, district road class 1, district road class 2, and unclassified roads, sorry. And all of them cover almost 32,000 kilometers. So I would like to add as well that a study was conducted in terms of way bridge, and the study determined around 8 locations that need a way bridge. So among these 8, 2 are under implementation, and we believe that in the next year we'll be having a way bridge fully operational. Thank you.
How many way bridges do we have currently in Rwanda?
Now we don't have any way bridge. Actually, it helps in determining required load a vehicle should carry, either in an international road or in a national road. So I've mentioned that a road is a very important infrastructure. It has to be maintained. It has to be, these infrastructure are important to have the road spend the expected lifespan. So having this way bridge will help a lot, only not in Rwanda, but even in the region in general. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Engineer, briefly now in 1 minute, say what you have said in Kiswahili.
Asanteni sana. Sisi kama Kenya National Highways Authority tunaangazia mambo ya magari kuweka mizigo kiasi ambacho kinaruhusiwa kisheria, na ni matakwa yetu kuona kwamba kila mchukuzi anaegeza mzigo kwa gari yake kwa njia ambayo inaruhusiwa na sheria, na wale ambao hawafanyi hivyo vile inatarajiwa kwa wanapelekwa kotini na kushtakiwa na mashtaka ya kuzidi kiwango ambacho kinastahiliwa kubebwa kwa barabara zetu. Sote kama nchi tuko na jukumu la kulinda barabara yetu zisiharibike, sababu tunaitegemea kiuchumi, kikazi na kihuduma. Asanteni sana.
Thank you very much, engineer. Asante. Sasa nitabaki na ule. Hadi msikize Kikuyu. Unajua kuongea Kikuyu?
Peke yangu.
Engineer anaweza relax kidogo.
Relax.